Welcome to the Live Life Well podcast for busy women with me, Joanne Bibby. I hope this is a place where you'll find encouragement, inspiration and community to live life well, body, mind and soul. Hi everyone, I'm Joanne Bibby and I'm really excited to welcome you to the first ever episode of the Live Life Well podcast for busy women. As a busy woman myself, I know how hard it can be to look after ourselves when we've got so much going on. I know also how much difference it can make when we nourish ourselves well, body, mind, and soul. So in this podcast, we're going to dig into those things. We're going to meet some amazing women along the way, and we're going to share tips about how to really look after ourselves amongst the busy challenges of life. As a wellness coach myself, I just love cheering other women on to feel our absolute best through simple habits and changes that we can make. So I really hope you enjoy coming along for the journey. And today I am really excited to welcome our first guest, Rebecca Norton from Sense of Direction. Rebecca is a great friend. She's also an amazing coach, which she's going to be telling you all about. We've known each other for about 5 or 6 years, I think now, which is crazy. We've been business partners. We help run a networking group for women together, which we're both really passionate about, building community and supporting other women and cheering them on. And I'm really excited for you to hear more about how Rebecca does coaching and how she brings her different passions into that. So Rebecca, please say hello, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background and your coaching, but also just what makes you you. Tell us about you.
Thank you, Jo. Yeah, lovely to be here with you. I am a life and wellbeing coach and NLP practitioner, lifelong learner and an outdoor enthusiast is probably how I would describe myself. And I got to this position where I am now, going through lots of different roles and jobs and stuff. I've dabbled in all sorts of things. I'm interested in many things, and that's led me down lots of different paths. But I think I've found what I want to do now with being a life coach, because it allows me to bring all my passions together. So I really love doing what I do. So Sense of Direction allows me to combine my coaching skills with my love of the outdoors, because I just feel that there's so much to be gained from coaching outdoors. I think it's a completely different perspective. So that's allowed me to go down lots of different avenues. And I think I'm always looking for ways to learn, grow and develop. So I'm a bit further down the path than some people, but not as far as others.
Yeah. I love that. It's so important to keep learning, isn't it? And not think that we know all the answers for sure. And that helps us look after our minds, doesn't it? When we're always growing and learning. And there's always so much to learn from other people, isn't there?
Definitely, yeah, yes. I wouldn't say I've got it all. I think that's the joy of learning in life, though, isn't it? So, yeah, I really do enjoy what I do. I feel very privileged to be in this position, working with people to help them find fulfillment in life.
Oh, I love that. And I really love that you bring the outdoors and walking into your coaching, which we're going to dig into a bit more in a minute. But just a question that I'm going to ask all my guests on this podcast is, what does living life well mean to you?
I love that question. It's brilliant. They've had me thinking, and living life well for me is living in alignment with my values, and living with integrity. And actually, over the last month, I've been doing an exercise and lots of inner work and reflections, and I've distilled it down to two sort of inner ideals or two core values for me, and they are courage and vitality. Courage for me is about expressing my emotions and feelings openly. It's about living with a sense of purpose and investing my time wisely, seeking adventure and trying new things, and then transformation. So that process of transformation, me going through it and helping others to go through it. And then vitality for me is about being physically strong and well. And a lot of that is about sort of getting outdoors, I guess, because that's what I love. Making healthy choices. I think that thing for me, and that includes sort of the nutritional thing, but also how I manage my energy. And because energy is really important to me, and just prioritizing my well-being. And then the other aspect for me for living life well is doing things I enjoy and sharing the journey with other people. So hopefully I can share inspiration, share my wisdom and my learnings with others, so that they can find some fulfillment in life as well, I guess. So yes, I think hopefully that sort of answered that question.
Oh, that is such a good answer because I'm very practical. I'm like, living life well. So it means eating the right things and moving our bodies and learning and being in community. But you've like really narrowed it down to the importance of finding your values. And that is a massive thing. And that really helps our well-being to know what direction we're going on, doesn't it, in life? I think we can feel really confused sometimes, which can really make us feel anxious and worried about the future. But if we know what brings us alive, what makes us tick, and what direction we're going in, I think that makes a massive difference to our well-being, doesn't it? How did you find that process of sort of narrowing it down? Like I love the values that you've focused in on, and we're going to talk a bit more about those. But how did you go on that journey to realize what's really important to you?
Um, I suppose I can't remember. I think I was reading a specific book. I do a lot of reading. I've been an avid reader, love reading. And there was an exercise in there, and it was, I think it was the art of living effortlessly, or effortless living or something, I think it was. And she was talking about finding your inner ideals. And it was just an exercise that really piqued my interest. I thought, oh, I like the idea of that. And it really got me thinking about what's missing in my life at the moment, what I used to enjoy, and what do I want going forward. The Sometimes doing this, what I would call inner work, is not easy and it's not comfortable. It can be quite uncomfortable at times, but I see the value in doing it, and it's helping me to make sure that I'm moving in a direction that I want to go. I think for me, I certainly, as I've hit my 40s, I've recognized that, life doesn't last forever, and I can continue going down the route I'm going, or if I don't want to be going in that direction, then I need to actively change it. And I think that's what took me down that route. So it got me thinking about, well, actually what's important to me. And one thing that I used to do a lot of when I was younger was traveling and adventure. I did all sorts of stuff, and I realized that's missing in my life at the minute. But I also recognise that it doesn't necessarily have to be huge, far-flung places like I used to go to. It can be about exploring locally. I always get such a sense of joy when I go somewhere new that I've not been before. I really get really excited, and I thought I want to be doing that more. So it just got me thinking about, right, what's really important to me? What did I used to do that I want to do more of again, or what do I want to start doing that I've never done before? It was an interesting process to go through. I like writing things down. I have tons of notebooks, so it was just a case of sort of really focusing in on what's important to me and what do I want more of. And then I actually drew a picture. I'm tapping into my creativity, having worked with Glenda. So I got my watercolors out and my paints out, and I've got two symbols that I've now on the back of one of my doors. So I have a big heart for my courage, and I've got my key 4 words around that, and then I've got a star underneath it, which is my vitality and my energy. And again, I've got my key words around that, and that's just to remind me when I'm walking around the house, these are my 2 core values that's really important to me.
Wow, I love that you've got these like visual reminders up. That's so important, isn't it? Because we can so easily drift away from our purpose. And I love, there's a few things that I'd love to just pick out of what you said. I just love what you're talking about, the importance of adventure and doing the hard work and all these things. And I love what you said about having new experiences and adventure. I think lockdown kind of knocked that out of us, didn't it? We all sort of withdrew and forgot what it was like to feel adventure. And it's like we're almost like emerging out of our shells again, isn't it? And rediscovering it and how important it is to have those new experiences and adventure, which you're absolutely right. It's so important. Life is for living, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I love what you said about having energy and vitality as well, because to enjoy life, you need to have energy. Don't you?
Yep.
It's like a finite thing that we have, but we can actually create more of it by choosing the healthy habits, by resting well and eating well and moving our bodies, but also looking after our minds and souls as well. So I love that. And I think you're right about hitting that point when you come into your 40s and you're like, oh, I'm not going to live forever. Like life isn't infinite. You don't really realize that when you're in your 20s, do you? You think
No.
got, you got forever ahead of you. But I don't think it's a bad thing, is it? You sort of take stock. And I think we all have that moment, don't we? Like, what is really important? What do I want to spend the rest of my life investing in? So these are
Yeah,
all really
yeah.
important things to think about. And is that the sort of thing that you maybe chat to people through your coaching then? So I think sometimes it can be hard when we get to that point where we know we want our life to mean more, want to make a difference, but we're not sure how. Is that the sort of thing that you love to support your clients with?
Yeah, I guess so, because I think as coaches, we're all very different. You can find a coach for anything. I'm not one of these coaches who goes mad on setting goals and, right, this is the goal, we're going to get to the goal. For me, it's much more around that living with sense of purpose, sense of direction. And I suppose that's where my name sort of comes from in some respects, and that's helped me. So I would much rather help people find things that's really long lasting, that's going to have a big impact on them. And it can be quite uncomfortable. So I will get people coming along who perhaps have a vague idea of what they want, but often it's just that they're feeling stuck. They know they don't want to be where they are, but they're not sure where they want to go or how they're going to get there. So yeah, I'll work with people. One of the exercises that we spend quite a bit of time on is actually looking at what their values are, what's important to them, so that we can then help them to work out, well, what would an ideal life look like. And I think if you can get some of those things in place, for me, it's like setting a compass bearing. We might not have a clear destination, but if we're heading in the right direction, we're going to get to where we want to go. Again, I love it. That's why I love the outdoors. There's so many metaphors for me that I can use within coaching. So by identifying your values and your priorities, that helps you set your compass bearing and you can head off in that right direction. So yes, I do work with people who perhaps just aren't happy where they are, but not quite sure where they want to go either. But it's just they know they need a change, and it's helping them to find that confidence to do it, because it can be uncomfortable. It's sitting with them and helping them understand that that's all right and that's a normal part of change process.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of having someone else sit alongside you when you're going through that. Like, we're not meant to do life alone, and sometimes we feel we're facing these big decisions and we have to make them by ourselves. But I'm having some coaching just now, and I'm going through quite a lot of changes and just reevaluating my purpose and calling and things like that. And it has been hard. It's been quite painful and uncomfortable. I would say at times you're almost like feel quite exposed, because I think you can really kid yourself on a lot of the time when it's just you and your thoughts. You can hide from things and convince yourself things mean otherwise. But
Yeah.
having someone come alongside you who'll just give you some tools and freedom to like outwork things externally, so they're not just going round and round your head, and challenge you, not in a harsh way at all, but in a caring way to see you moving forward, is really powerful. What would you say to someone who is thinking about getting some coaching or who is feeling a bit stuck? Um, what's the value that you as a coach or coaches in general can offer people in that situation?
Yeah. It's always worth finding a coach that you feel comfortable with. That's the key, because like you said, this journey can be quite uncomfortable. You can feel quite exposed and quite vulnerable, so you need to feel comfortable with this person. But a coach is they're someone who will take the time to really listen to what you're saying and maybe what you're not saying as well. We pick up on that and help you dig a little bit deeper to understand yourself better. We don't give you the answers, but we help you find the answers for yourself. And that's a really, really empowering process, I think. It's about asking questions in a different way. So the quality of your answer depends on the quality of the question in the first place. So we can help you with question and help you then ask yourself questions that will help you dig and find the answers that you're looking for, basically. And it's also about giving you tools and techniques to help along the way. So I'm a big believer in helping people with their mindset as well. So we'll work a lot on mindset. And that's something, so there is some sort of skill development along the way with coaching, but it is that very safe environment where you're not going to be judged. You can share your ideas. It doesn't matter if they sound weird and wacky. I see myself as a bit of a cheerleader of someone. And like you say, it's not to give people an easy ride. I will challenge people, but I challenge people in a gentle way that allows them to grow and develop, and if they make mistakes, then that's fine too. That's how we learn. So it's a really supportive process that empowers you on a long-term basis.
That's great. And we all need a cheerleader sometimes, don't we? For sure.
Yeah.
That's really important that we have cheerleaders in our lives. And do you, as a coach, do you also receive coaching then? Is that part of your practice?
Yeah, I I worked with a couple of coaches as I was going through my coach training, and then yes, I will always seek to work with somebody. There'll be points where I'll just get on with things myself, but then there's points where I recognise actually I'm ready for the next step myself. So I'm working with somebody at the moment to help me sort of move along on a slightly different route, but it's still coaching in some respects to help me develop and grow. I continuously read. I love reading. I'll often listen to YouTube videos or other presentations and things. And also, I'm the chair of Three Shires Coaching Forum, and that's a monthly forum. We have either online or in-person meetings, and there's a lot of sharing in there, and people will come and do presentations and lots of discussion. So CPD and keeping up to date with my skills and practicing what I'm preaching is really, really important to me.
Oh yeah, and I can see that. I can see how invested you are in personal development. I can see how passionate you are and how much you're always growing in that. So that's really great to see. And tell us more about how you do integrate walking and the outdoors in your coaching and how important that is to you and what the benefits of that are.
Yeah, like I said, there's just so many metaphors with nature and the outdoors and for coaching. I just love it. But for me, getting people outdoors, so I can offer a couple of different options. So people can have one-to-one coaching. And we can do that through coaching walks. I've worked with a number of clients where we've met and we've walked. It doesn't even have to be anywhere particularly special. We've walked around Sheffield town centre, or we've walked in sort of parks and recreation grounds and all sorts. So it's partly about getting outside because you've got more space. I think sometimes when we're in an enclosed space, you've literally got a physical barrier around you. So having outdoor space allows energy to flow in a different way. But also the movement encourages a change of state. So we often feel more energized when we're moving. We have a different flow of ideas and things. So it can generate sort of more problem solving thinking rather than being stuck, I think. And just a change of perspective, literally a change of perspective, especially if you are out in the countryside, because we can see different things, and when we're high up we get a different perspective because we can see above things. And sometimes I think that's what coaching is. It's about coming above the problem so we can look down on it and see the bigger picture. So it's just really, really helpful. And it's great for your well-being as well. Being outdoors is so good for your well-being. I love it when it's quite breezy because it literally blows energy into me and any negativity out of me. It's so refreshing. So I think being outdoors is great for your well-being. It's great for the problem solving and creative thinking, and just helps you see things from a completely different perspective.
Yeah, there's so many benefits, isn't there, mentally and physically, to getting outside, moving your body, getting some vitamin D on your
Yep.
skin. And yeah, movement is just so important to our physical and our mental well-being, isn't it? And I think a lot of us as busy women, we can be put off at thinking we have to make time for an exercise class or an hour's running, but walking is so great. Like most people can do it, and it's really easy just to fit into your day-to-day life, isn't it? I try most days just to get out first thing for half an hour, and it just really sets you up for the day. Like you think, like you're saying, getting out of the house, in a big open sky, just thinking through your day, moving your body, getting your blood going, getting your creative juices going. It's just so good for you. You notice a difference, don't you, the days that you don't? And I know you are quite into your fitness, like you do run a bit, don't you? And you do go on hikes and things, but you don't have to have a high level of fitness to walk and move, do you?
No,
How,
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, with walking is that you can tailor it to the amount of time you've got, the ability level. You only need to do is put a comfortable pair of shoes on, and that's it.
yeah, and they say half an hour a day is actually plenty to really improve your mental health and your well-being, isn't it? Your physical well-being, to have a longer, happier, fitter life. Just move for half an hour.
Yeah.
So do you think that can be a barrier? Do you think how do you encourage women just to fit that in a bit more, just to get out and get moving?
I think it's just fitting it into those pockets of time. It's a lovely way to start your day, like you say, either go just getting up. I know some people say, when they're so tired, the last thing they want to do is get up earlier. But actually, if you can get up a little bit early, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes earlier, and just a quick walk around the block, it will really re-energize you and set you up for the day. The way you start your day has a massive impact on the rest of the day. So if you can do that, or at lunchtime, just go out for a little walk, or after work. That's after work is a really nice way of winding down, so you can let go of anything that you've been holding on to during the day. So you can go into the evening, in a much more relaxed manner. I think sometimes if we've had a stressful day, it's very easy to take it out on family and friends around us. So if you can go for a walk and get rid of some of that energy and just process things, you come back a much happier, nicer person to be with, for the rest of the day. But the benefits outweigh the cost of doing it, and it's just getting into the habit of doing it. And like I said, it doesn't have to be far at all. It can just be 5-10 minutes around the local block or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're right. Being a nicer person for like our kids and our partners, just by getting out. Sometimes if I'm not got out in the day, I'll go out just after tea. I'll look at my Fitbit or my Apple Watch, and I'll be like, all right, I've only done 15 minutes movement today. I need to get my other 15 minutes. So like you say, this, and it sort of makes that barrier between your busy day and then your evening when you can relax, or if you've got more things to do, it does sort of energize you, doesn't it? To get those last few jobs done. So yeah, I think it's like any healthy habits. Once you make it a habit, once you feel the benefits of it and you want to do it more, it's just getting started, isn't it? And maybe just like finding a friend to go out with. You do group walks too, don't you? As part of our networking group, we do walks. We just think it's really important, don't we, to get out and move and feel better and connect as well. It can be part of your, if you want to connect more, because connection is such an important thing, isn't it? I think it's a value that's important to both of us. We see the importance in creating community and support networks. So it's not something you have to do in isolation, is it? Just use it
No, it's a nice, like you say, it's a really lovely way of connecting with other people, I think, because that's the other thing about the coaching side of it, is when you're coaching in sort of a regular environment, maybe in a coffee shop or an office or whatever, you're often face to face. When you're out walking, you're side by side, and that's a completely different experience. You're walking with the person. So I think there is a difference in that. And going, like you say, going with somebody is a great way to get you motivated to go out there. And it allows for, the silence is comfortable. If you're sat in a room with somebody, silence is uncomfortable, but the silence when you're out walking is comfortable because you're noticing the different sounds, the bird singing or the wind or whatever it is, and it's a much different experience. Yeah, highly recommend it.
Yes, I can hear that. That's great. And you do group coaching too, don't you? When there's not a lot of conversation, but you're out there together, thinking things through, working towards your goals, but you're together in that, but working separately, which is fab. So just before we finish up, I do have one more question to end with, but before we get to that, tell us quickly about your retreats that you've started and what the value is in taking more than half an hour out of your day to work on yourself.
Yeah, the retreats are wonderful, and it's so nice to have you as part of them as well. So it taps into my love of the outdoors and my coaching. So there's elements of walking, mindfulness, coaching on there, and reflective activities. And then there's a lovely lady called Glenda Strong, who's an artist and illustrator, also very keen on well-being. And Glenda brings her creative skills and helps people tap into their creativity. So between us, we're able to really help people consider what self-care is to them, how they incorporate it, and give them a safe space again where they can explore that a little bit more and with other women. And so we've got a day retreat where they can just come along for the day, really have a great fun. It's fun as well. I think that's the other thing. It's really fun to do, learn about what self-care means to them, some different tips and techniques for incorporating it into their day, having some wonderful food courtesy of yourself. The food is always really important. Has been right from the outset with both me and Glenda. We've always said the food has got to be really good. And then the residential retreat just allows people to immerse themselves for a whole weekend in that. So it's the same elements. So there's mindful walking, there's coaching exercises and reflective activities, there's the art and watercolor things. And on the weekend one, the difference is that they will actually create their own chapter, which is a guide and a resource that they can refer back to at any point to help remind them and anchor them back into what it is that's really important for them. And it's such a wonderful experience for everybody involved. Me and Glenda really enjoy it and love facilitating it for other women to come along and join us.
Oh, you do such a great job, and it's a real honor to be part of them. And you can just tell how much people are getting from them. And I think you've just touched on some other really important things that help us to live life well. So delicious food is really important, obviously.
Yes.
Healthy, delicious food. We're both big on that. Having fun, so important. Just having a laugh, dancing around your kitchen, being with friends that make you come alive, all these things. Creativity, like we could literally do a podcast on each of these, couldn't we? But creativity is so important for your mind and your soul, isn't it? Just to tap into that thing that that gift that we all have in our own way. And then taking time out to reflect. I'm quite a forward thinker, so I'm encouraged in my coaching learning to reflect more. I'm always like, what's next? What am I doing with my life? But to take time to actually stop and reflect before you move forward is really important. So I love all these things we've touched on, and I think we could talk about them forever, but we've only got a few minutes left. So just tell us where we can find you, Rebecca, if anyone wants to follow up with you, find out more about your coaching or retreats.
Yep, thank you. It's www.senseofdirection.life is my website. You can find me on Facebook, which is RN Sense of Direction, or I'm on LinkedIn as well. I'm always happy to have a chat with people, either over a cuppa or in person or virtual, and a walk. Obviously, I'm always quite happy to go out for a walk with people. So people can book a 30-minute discovery call at no obligation and no cost, just have a chat and see if coaching might be able to help them.
Well, I would encourage them to do so. And we'll pop some links in the comments to where the people can find you. And also to the books we mentioned. You mentioned a book, didn't you? And there's another really good book called Dare to Lead by Brené Brown. We all love a bit of Brené. And that's got a similar kind of exercise to help you find your values, to narrow down your values for your life. So they're really good. And just the last question that I plan to ask all of my guests, because as we mentioned, food is super important to us. So just for fun, if you were to have one last meal, up to 2 courses, what would you choose?
Well, I'm afraid it probably wouldn't be healthy.
It doesn't have to be, it's your last meal.
Exactly. It would be fish and chips, good old fish and chips from the seaside, and ice cream. So I have a very tiny little freezer at home. I only have one of these little freezer compartments. I just don't have room to have ice cream in my freezer. So when I get the opportunity to have ice cream, I'll always have ice cream as well.
But the big question is, what flavour?
Mint chocolate chip is my go-to.
Nice choice.
Yeah.
I had some great chips at Scarborough on Saturday. We were just talking about that before we came on the call, weren't we? So it's a good choice. But yeah, it doesn't have to be healthy, does it? If it's your last meal. Healthy is great, but you got to have a treat sometimes, don't you?
Yeah. Good old fish and chip. It always tastes better at the coast, I think.
Oh, 100% with some fresh air.
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, thanks so much for your time today, Rebecca. It's been so lovely to chat. And yeah, get in touch with us if you have any questions. But it's been so lovely to spend time with you today and dig in some of these things. So we'll see you all back soon for the second episode.
Thank you very much for having me.
Pleasure. Great to see you.